Striking union workers disrupting one of the busiest ports in the nation, just as retailers gear up for what is likely to be the busiest shopping day of the year. And now, George Soros is sticking his nose into things. Welcome, everyone. I'm Stuart Varney, and for Neil Cavuto, this is Your World. Unions flexing their muscle, targeting ports and airlines just as holiday travel and the shopping season prepare to kick into high gear. And now, billionaire George Soros is getting involved. Soros reportedly using his MoveOn.org to urge people to join anti-Walmart protests on Black Friday, even if they don't work for Walmart. Critics claim it's all part of a massive effort to unionize Walmart's 1.4 million employees nationwide. That could bring in billions in union dues. Malkin says these strikes aren't about protecting workers. It's about protecting entrenched big labor power. And by the way, everyone, we will be speaking to a union official involved in all of this in just a few moments from now. Michelle, we've got travel and shopping intentionally disrupted in a very big week for both of them. What do you make of this?
Well, it's a toxic combination of these left-wing activist groups funded by George Soros, just as you mentioned, Stuart, along with a ragtag group of occupiers across the country who've been fomenting this kind of agitation for agitation's sake for more than a year now. I think that what viewers really need to understand is this has been planned out for months and months and months. And as you'll recall, Stuart, September last year is when we had the first inklings of what was really going on here, that in fact the Occupy movement was never really just about protesting Wall Street. Where did these days of rage start? They started on the West Coast as part of agitation with longshore workers' unions in Longview, Washington. And you'll remember the horrible stories that came out of there, mostly on Fox News and alternative media, certainly not covered in the mainstream, where they were doing things like sabotaging rail lines and holding workers hostage.
What's the objective? Clearly, the unions have leverage. It's Thanksgiving week. You disrupt travel, you disrupt shopping, you've got a big impact. But what's the objective of these demonstrations? Is it to hurt Walmart, or is it just to get some publicity for the union movement?
Yeah, well, I think far more the latter than the former. This is never really about workers' welfare or ensuring that people have good, quote-unquote, living wages. It is to make these corporations bend and bow and capitulate at their most vulnerable moments. And leading up to many of these port strikes, for example, you had shipping lines who have had to redirect their lines to Mexico to avoid many of these port shutdowns. Of course, we had one in Oakland last night, and they've been threatening this for a long time. What is it really about? It's about Luddism. It is about the refusal of these big labor entrenched powers and power brokers to get with the times and take some of the necessary cuts and movement towards modernization and efficiency that they've been fighting for decades and decades.
You could argue that they won, that union power helped President Obama win a second term. They won the election for him in some ways. Do you think, though, that they will win this battle? Win in the sense that maybe they'll turn more people off than they'll turn on. I mean, you disrupt shopping and in the Thanksgiving period in the United States of America, and you're taking on quite something.
Yes, that's right. Shopping and, of course, travel, because what's happening in the case of a lot of these ports is that you've got airport union workers who are also working, taking off and demonstrating in solidarity with their brothers and sisters. And I think there needs to be an educational effort, Stuart. I think people really need to understand that these big labor thugs do not have workers' interests at heart. You think about all of the truckers, the shippers, the farmers, people who work in the agricultural industry who are being hurt by this. And then with regard to Walmart, of course, all you have to do is look on social media and the response that we're getting from 11 million people who are out of work who would love to work on Thanksgiving for Walmart if they had a chance.
Michelle Malkin, we're out of time, but thank you very much indeed. See you again soon. Thanks, Michelle.
You bet. Take care.